Okay, here we are. The Dare Show podcast we're reviewing The Judds, which was on Own about 10 years ago, 2011, I think it was. Reviewing these episodes. So we're on episode 3, Heartbreak in the Heartland. And we start off with seeing Naomi, and she said she see something on stage, or she just was feeling and seeing something on stage. I'm not sure if she was again having flashbacks of the molestation or something, but they ended up Winona even said she saw something different on her mother on stage that night, and she was just seeing her vulnerability. She was like, I see her vulnerability, I see her emotions flowing through. And Naomi, she's working on letting her emotions out and letting go of a lot of things. So Naomi meets with Carrie, who is the Judds manager. She's been a longtime manager, a trusted friend, a trusted soul, and she talks about how she was molested. Or did she? Yeah, I think she told her she was molested. She also told her as a kid. She also told her that she put together pieces, and she thinks and she feels in her experiences that her mother doesn't love her. And she was like, I was 17 and I was pregnant, and my mother didn't say a word to me when I was pregnant. My mother didn't she told me I couldn't stay here, so she had to bounce. And she didn't feel loved by her mother. And I'm thinking, I feel like that was sort of the norm for decades after a certain point in, a certain time period. I think it was more get out than you can stay and have this baby, and I'm going to help you raise this child. But you hear a lot of stories about, women back in, the 60s, 50s, 60s. You can't stay here if you're going to have a kid. you got to go. And so, what's her name? Carrie suggests that she tells, that Naomi tells Winona about all of what she's feeling and what she's going through. And and Naomi's like, no, they see me as Superwoman. I don't want to tell them, I don't want to disappoint them. They see me as Superwoman. I don't want to alter their thoughts and feelings about me. And I'm just like, from my perspective, I don't think they think that you're Superwoman, or that Winona thinks you're Superwoman, and this wouldn't crush her. Later on, this wouldn't crush her. This would, make her be there for you and love you and help you push through and get through these moments that you really need to get out, that you want to, tell her. So, and she ends up saying, okay, I should tell Winona. I want to tell her, but we'll see. So, they end up going, I don't know. Winona, we get skipped to Winona, and Winona is talking about how she's attracted to emotionally unavailable men, and that, the men that she dated were like addicts, and they had different agendas, and they were just bad men, and they were a reflection of her father, who wasn't there, who was physically there, but not emotionally there. The old, you attract who your parents are. And so now she's talking about her new love with Cactus, and how she has new tools she has new tools to build and conquer love and have good love and everlasting love. And it seems like it's working because they're still together. I believe they got married in 2012. So we're going on 10 years strong. This is the longest marriage she's had, I saw. The other marriages were 2-3 years. And then they were no longer. So very interesting. So then they all go to a gun range. out in the snow, in the blizzard, pretty much. I'm still confused about this tour occurring during this like winter month, November and December. It's very bizarre. But it seems like they had fun at the gun range or whatever. God, excuse me. So then after the gun range, Winona and Naomi meet on the bus, having a little lunch date. They're eating their tacos and their taco salad. I think this is what taco salads were really popping back like 10, 15 years ago. Taco salads. Remember that? All you ever hear about taco salads anymore. And so Winona's just like, hey mom, I'm so tired. I only slept like 6 hours. And she was like, I've been working. I've been doing these things behind on stage. And she's like, what do you mean you've been doing things behind on stage? Like, are you okay? She's like, yeah, I've just been working. We're doing stuff without you. It's nothing bad. It's all good. And I think she was talking about this song that her and Cactus were writing, which is, we'll talk about in a second. So, she's like, yeah, I'm okay. Everything's great. And she's like, I just want to make sure you're good or you're not. Naomi's like, I just want to make sure you're good or you're not. And she's like, what? I was confused too. I'm still confused. It was just like, did we miss? I don't think we missed anything because Winona was confused too. Because we're both like, wait, what? She didn't say she was in danger. She just said she was working. I don't know what Naomi heard or what she didn't hear. What she did or did not hear. We were all confused. Like, okay, why are you... I'm working on stuff, honey. And so they're just talking and Naomi's like, okay, let's say a prayer before we eat this taco salad. I mean, not the taco salad, the taco salad with the boat, the tortilla shell. That's what I meant, not taco salads. Lord. So she says a little hallelujah, Honda shalalada prayer, got Winona crying. I wonder if she was... Okay, so I think in this, she was meaning to tell Winona, I was molested and I don't feel like... Oh, she said her mother was cold growing up. Her mother was cold. She didn't talk about her childhood. She was just, I guess, emotionless in a sense. But Winona was like... Sorry. Come on. Winona was saying that, no. So she just brought up, Mom, how are you doing? How are you feeling? That's what I was saying. I wonder if, so Naomi was meaning to like, I think she was going into this scene, into this moment on the bus to tell Winona, she was molested or she just, had a bad childhood and the details. So then she does like this prayer, and in the prayer she was like, thank God for having my firstborn and having her find her gift. And it just seemed like it was a distractive point to get attention in a sense. Because then she goes on and she's like, I'm in a cold, dark winter, Winona. And Winona's like, taking the time, what's the word? Taking it all in, absorbing what she's saying. And she's like, okay, what's wrong? Like, are you dealing with family stuff? And Naomi's like, she looks at her like, how you know? Naomi looked at her like, of course. She was looking at her like a ghost. Like she saw a ghost. Like she just read through her soul. It was so weird. And so Naomi just like chickens out and abruptly, when you see it, you literally see how weird the scene is. She literally abruptly gets up, stops eating, gets up, and walks away. Walks out of the bus. puts her coat on, gets a little taco boat, and leaves. And it was just so weird. So she chickens out. Winona and was telling like the producer or somebody, she was like, she's protecting herself, she's being a mother, protecting herself and protecting me from whatever, she's going through. And she didn't seem to want to open up. She seemed guarded, but when she does, I'm still here. And if she does, and I hope she does, so, she can see I can be there for her. And that's ultimately what I think. That's ultimately what Winona wants. And that's what I think. I'm like, why? I don't understand why she feels so scared. It might be, just, self-doubt and stuff. But I'm just like, why do you feel so scared to tell Winona about this? Like, she's going to be there for you. Your relationship is definitely stronger at this point. For her not to, I guess abandon you or whatever. I don't know what she thinks. So then we find out Cactus and Winona are going to write Naomi a song. And they're talking about Cactus has words written. And Winona is just like, let's make this a little bit more factual about Mother and not, just general things that she does, because she's very specific. So then Larry, her husband, and Ted, the therapist, are on Naomi's bus, and they're talking about her feelings, and Larry's very respectful of Naomi's growth and her feelings and her emotions. He just wants her to, take your time. But then I didn't even realize who that we were talking about. We're talking about at one point they switched and talk about his Naomi's mother, who I didn't realize was still alive at this point, because Naomi at this point is 65. So I'm like, oh, her mother is still alive. Okay, so. Because I thought they were talking about Winona, because he was like, I wish, I had more time with my mother, and I wish Larry was talking about, I wish I had more time with my mother, and I wish things were different, and, when they're gone, they're gone. I was like, oh, we're talking like this already? Oh, okay. They skip a little ahead. It's like, oh, my mom, she's talking about her mom in present tense. And so I'm like, oh, Naomi's mom is still alive. So, yeah, Larry was just like reflecting on, his mother, and yes, I don't always call. Yes, she doesn't call me, but I still know she loves me, and he's just giving them like a suggestion of like healing things with their mother, Naomi healing things with her mother, and not doing things without expecting something in return, basically. Which is, normal and a part of the healing process. I'm doing this for me, not for you, so I can move forward. And that's what Ted and Larry wanted Naomi to understand, that you need to do things for you and not for her. Because I think she was like saying, she was like, she's not going to call me if I call her, or she's not going to sort of change if I tell her stuff. That's what it kind of was coming off as Naomi was saying. So she was like, Naomi's like, all right, so should I just invite her to this show that's coming up? And they were like, yeah. So she invited her to the show, and she ended up not coming, which devastated Naomi, Winona, everybody. It devastated everybody. She told the story about this Barbara Walters interview, and Naomi's mom was there, and Naomi's mom was piping up and I guess being a little rude. So she was like, she likes the spotlight as much as I do. And maybe it was some kind of like, not jealousy, but like, this is my thing and I don't want you a part of it kind of feeling-ish. So then at the end, she's putting pieces together still. She's like, as an adult, I have to make peace with the childhood, even if my mother doesn't come. And she was very devastated her mother didn't come. My thing is, was Naomi going to be forthright and upcoming, whatever? Was she going to tell her mother how she felt? That's my question. I don't know. would she have chickened out? I don't know. Again, would she have chickened out like she did with Winona and multiple times with Winona? I mean, she's able to. Naomi's able to tell everybody about these secrets except for Winona. Like, there's multiple interviews of her, like, on the show. There's multiple, like, talking confessionals or whatever you want to call it, of her talking, and she's, like, not telling Winona. It's interesting. So, yeah, let's go ahead on to episode 4.
Next car, honey, next car.
Here we go, as Lady Gaga said. Here we go. Episode 4 of the Judds TV show, docuseries, review, as they say in Maryland. Naomi tells her secret. So, it was a cute episode. It was lighter in the beginning, and, you know, they're on the bus talking, about to get their nails done, whatever. Winona is signing autographs, and Miss Naomi pops on in. And so Winona is signing them and, you know, putting them on the ground. And Naomi's like, who's going to pick that up? I just want to know. Who's going to pick that up? And Winona's like, excuse me? Because the assistant, Winona's assistant, Winona and Naomi, I think somebody else might have been on the bus. And I don't know why or where Naomi is from, but personal assistants, they do everything, including pick up the autographs off the ground or whatever. I mean, they were huge too, so I kind of understood where she was going, or why she put them on the ground. But Winona felt shamed by, like, she was shaming her in front of her assistant. She's like, don't do that. Oh, child, her attitude changed, honey. She turned into Hurricane Winona, okay? She switched. She was like, I can go from gear 1 to gear 4 with my mother. That's how much she pushes me. She was just like, I felt ashamed by her, and I understood where Winona was coming from, because I don't know why. Like I said, like, that's what personal assistants do. They'll pick your food up. They'll clean after you. They'll do everything for you. I don't know where Naomi is from. Or why. Maybe she has boundaries with her personal assistants. Very interesting. She's like, don't do that again. I don't do that in front of your assistant. Don't do that in front of my my staff. She said my paying staff. my paid employee. Don't do that in front of me with her. And I think Naomi felt guilty because her look was kind of like, oh, I done fucked up now, baby. And she kind of like hit, Winona was like picking them up, and she kind of hit her on her butt. And she was like, then the sister was like, can we continue? Because she was like giving them the itineraries for like for the days ahead. And she's like, can we please continue? You guys, stop arguing. I'm trying to do my job. It was a tense moment because it really switched up like that. So anyways, I don't know what this means. Acknowledging the truth about what people have. Oh, she was just saying, she did some work with Ted, and her main work with Ted was acknowledging the truth about what people said. So we finally skip ahead, and we finally get to we finally get like a day off-ish in Colorado, and they're talking to, they have like this like compound that they're staying at, this hotel type thing that they're staying at. And I know that must have felt really good, just to like sleep in a bed and not be on the bus and eat food and kind of relax a little bit. But they didn't really relax because they were talking about Naomi's acknowledgement of the truth about the people that have done her wrong or have hurt her. And so Naomi tells her secret. Finally, Naomi tells Winona. After Winona was like, okay, I know something's going on with you. What is going on? You got to tell me what is popping, what's dropping, what's locking in your mind. Why aren't you saying anything? Why aren't you like, what's you going around moping, but you're not telling me why? Not literally, but. And finally, Naomi let it out. I was like, wait, I gotta keep up. I gotta rewind. I gotta type. I gotta write. I gotta do all this. So she was like, our family's cursed. And it went back to Naomi's great grandfather. Basically, like mental health, mental illness, mental health has been a big priority. And it's so pretty outside. The sun is shining. It's hot outside. But mental health has been such a big priority in our lives, in our family, and I feel like our family is cursed, and it goes back to her great grandfather, Naomi's great grandfather, tried to kill his sons. I think she said like locking them inside like a heater or something. Not only killing them, but like tried to kill himself too with them. Somehow they all got out. So then her grandfather was, her grandfather married this woman, Miomi or something like that. And Miomi was not a good mother. She was like, the kids had to, I guess her father had to, get up and make the food themselves, get up and prepare themselves for school and do things on their own. She was not a good mother. Her father was somebody in the other family, I think maybe her great grandmother, thought that her grandfather was murdered by his wife, Miomi. But on the death certificate, so this is where it got a little, like, I didn't see this part when I first watched it. I didn't see this part, or I skipped this, or I just wasn't paying attention. This part was a little haunting because the death certificate said suicide, but somebody else in the family thinks he was murdered by his wife. And not only was he allegedly murdered by his wife, but his wife burned down their business for the insurance money, and hopped around town and had like this new boo, and it was just like a dramedy. Not even a dramedy, a drama about it, honey. So then she finally tells Winona she was molested by a family member. And Winona's reaction, like I said earlier, my thoughts about Winona, she's very smooth. And thinking, her sister Ashley comes off a little calculated sometimes in the words she speaks, but I think that just might be her personality, but it does come off a little calculated. Winona also might come off a little cautious of the words she says. She's very specific about she just seems like she's very specific about certain things she says, certain words she says. But Winona's reaction was super duper duper underreact. She just like bucked her eyes and then went on about her day. But we later find out, she was shaken by the news. They got up the next day. They went on, or a couple days later, they were doing a show. They got off stage, and she was like, Larry, Naomi's husband, was like, "You look like you're about to fall over," and she was like, "I kind of am." Like, she was so shaken by the news, and she was talking to the three of them, because Naomi saw Winona chilling. She was just like, "What's wrong?" She's like, "I'm just, shaking. I'm just I'm a little overwhelmed. I'm just trying to absorb everything. I'm trying to download all the things you've told me. My family is, my family history is unstable, so that doesn't make me feel, it makes me feel okay, but it awakens something in me knowing I have to keep working and keep healing, knowing these things." And so she sees Naomi through a different lens. She was like, that night on stage, she just saw her through a different lens, and she, especially as a mother, being a mother now, she can see, the child and the history. And so they have a talk with Ted, and she's just like, I need to process everything. I'm very overwhelmed. They have a talk with Ted, and she has an appreciation for her mother. And Ted is like, I don't want you to feel like you have to fix the situation, because you can't. You really can't. And she's like, yes, I understand that. And he was like, that's sort of like the family thing, the thing in the family. Like, if there's a problem, everybody wants to try to fix it, but you can't fix this one. You have to just work through it and heal through it with her. And then she was like, I'm glad you were able to do this with me. Now I hope you're able to do this with your mother. And she was, Naomi's like, no, I don't think I can do this with my mom, because it's just not going to happen. That made me feel like I said in episode 3, I was like, would she talk to her mother? And that when she said that, it kind of made me feel like she would tell her mother, but it made it seem like her mother wouldn't be receptive of it, because she was saying, I want my mother, I'm forgetting the words, but it was like, I could tell my mother something, but would she be receptive of it? Would she understand? I think Winona was like, she could die, but she might not be healed from whatever she's going through or whatever this is. And Naomi was like, I kind of don't feel like I was good enough for my mother. And that made me click instantly. That's what Winona said. She was like, I don't feel like I was good enough for you. I would have the #1 record in the country, but you would be mad at me for something. And so I would focus on being your anger towards me, instead of being happy and excited for this career goal. It was interesting. It was interesting how Naomi was definitely, she wanted to heal with her mother, but her mother probably wasn't going to be receptive of it. So then at the end of the episode, we see that Ashley was, throughout the episode, we see Ashley, she talks about Ashley's book, and Ashley was sending over a manuscript, and she didn't want her to, she just wanted her to read it. She didn't want any comments, she didn't want any thoughts. You couldn't say anything to Ashley. And she was saying, Ashley was, I forgot to say this, she was saying about the book, Ashley was easier to raise, but she knows Ashley still went through stuff. And we definitely go into that next episode. I have my thoughts already ready about that next episode, because that was a piece of work. When they go back to LA. So, it was so weird. She's like, I'm reading, they made it seem like she decided to read the book backstage while Winona's singing, and so it was like this huge emotional moment. I don't know if it was real or not. Real in the sense of the actual timing, not in the sense of the emotions, but definitely, she's like, Winona's singing these songs and belting out these songs, and I'm backstage reading these things that I've never heard about before, but I know they're true, from Ashley's book. And she didn't know certain details, but she knew they were true. Winona's singing. She can't get over the details because they're true. I think I just said that 3 different times. And she's just feeling demolished. So that's where we end on this episode. And it gets deeper from here. Episode 5, we are going to talk. So that's it for the episode 3 and 4, Naomi's Secret and Heartbreaking Heartland. episode 3 and 4 of The Judds on Own. Like I said, this is on Own. I'm watching this on YouTube. You can watch this also and have a little chat with me. I'm gonna try to put these on YouTube. I gotta find the link to Anchor's thingy to download and shabalama dang ding dong. Thank you listening. Thank you so much for listening to the Dare Show podcast. You can find me on My Love Miney Tonight on Instagram. That's the username. I'm on Spotify podcast. I'm on Apple Podcasts. I'm on YouTube. The Dare Show podcast. Thank you for listening.
And I have this fierce single that Sammy McKinney and these little guys put together, baby. I got a single that'll make you jump up and dance. And if you can't dance to that, you got a hole in your soul, okay?